Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to begin our playthrough of Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall. This is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players. You can play solo, but you do have to control at least 2. We'll be controlling 3 characters in our playthrough so we can experience many different things that these seekers can all be able to do. These are all different in the way they play, and it's going to be cool to see at least how 3 of these, of course there are 6 you can be. In this game we'll be exploring the world of Atios, I believe is what it's called. I could be wrong. And we're going to be going on quests. We're also going to be fighting enemies, and we're going to be investigating towns, and a whole bunch of story narrative aspects are going to be part of this game. Plus, this game is fully voiced by Forteller, so you can go check out their app. I will put a link to it in the description of this video. There you can purchase the narration of this game in full, along with many other fun games that they have done. Please check out Forteller. Again, I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. We'll begin by setting everything up, and then we'll go through the first adventure. Now, if you're excited to see what's in store for our brave seekers in Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall, then I need you to meet me at the table. We're going to start by choosing our 3 seekers. The first one we are going to use is Asha, she of the Brill Brook, which is pretty cool. You're going to have a character board just like this. Every one of them has this. It shows first how much armor they're going to receive when you play through the game. You're also going to see their starting health. If you are only playing with 2 players though, you are going to get a different set of health values, and it's a lighter value. We're going to be putting ours at 11 because we are playing with more than 2. This playmat was part of the extra components that were in the Kickstarter, so I don't believe it comes with any retail versions or just the original core box. But it does. But this mat is pretty cool because it has everything you need to have for your character. And as you can tell, it isn't much of a table hog as some other adventure and dungeon crawl type games. This is all you need for your particular player. What you're going to grab is the cart. You're going to assemble the wheel. You do get a miniature. I shouldn't say miniature. It's an acrylic standee of the character, which is really cool looking. I love the art on this game. On top of that, you're going to get a deck of starting cards, and all of this is going to be found inside of their character box. They all have a box that you're going to have, and on the back it does give you a little brief overview of who Asha of Brill Brook is. An expert in stealth, a lone wolf in the shadows, orphaned at a young age. Asha has taken in by a sect of temple and trained as an assassin. After fleeing from the sect, she took to the streets as a thief and eventually joined the Seekers Guild. Although she prefers to do things on her own way, she has a soft spot for her team. Perfect for stealthy players who prefer to attack from the shadows. All right, and it does give a little bit of background on what she is. She's 29, 5 foot 7 inches tall. So, and then they does have it. This is going to be her ability. This ability is found right here also on the player board. Attacks made by other seekers are going to deal an extra damage to any enemies in the same space that she's in. The cards you're going to see here are, we're going to start with this card right here. Every character gets one of these cards. I have sleeved all these cards, and these sleeves were also part of the upgrade components, and they're going to gain a lantern card. These lantern cards are very powerful, and when you start your battle, more often than not, the lantern card is charging. And the lantern card, once it's uncharged, is going to be a pretty powerful attack. This one's do 6 damage plus some extra stuff that we'll see during the game. On top of that, we're going to be getting a deck of cards. These deck of cards are going to have actions, and they're going to have cards that are going to be able to support our characters. And these cards do connect together. As you can see, this one says Action Asha's Dagger. This one is going to do a 2 damaged ranged attack. It gives you a little flavor text on what it is, and it does have a power down here. It says, after playing or discarding this card during battle, you may put it back on top of my deck. I can do that. Now on this one right here, this says that this is going to block 2 damage for another seeker. So if another seeker gets attacked, you can play this bonus card, this boost card to that character to give them this added benefit. And it is linked with Asha's Dagger. Now as you go through the game, you're going to be upgrading your deck and getting new cards. If you ever change out the Action version of Asha's dagger for another card, you would also be removing the boost card that goes with it and adding the boost card of the new upgrade card that you decided to get. So you can't keep part of the card and get rid of the other part of the action, just as something you want to be sure. So as you're building your deck, you might not, maybe this one will do like 5 damage, but the boost card might not be that great, so it might be something you want to think about while you're trying to create your perfect character. The amount of cards and colors of what they are located here on your character sheet. These symbolize the 3 different types of I guess, abilities you could say in this game. Red is for power, blue is for wisdom, and green is for finesse or dexterity type concepts. So of course our character, being a stealthy assassin, has a lot of green cards in her deck because she's pretty tricky and pretty stealthy. But she also has some wisdom, but she's not very strong. So she's only going to have about 2 red cards in here, and so that or what you see. Now if you notice, this one is red and blue, so it could be taking the spot of a blue or a red card, and it is going to be a blue card because you see we do have a full red card here as well. And of course, you have lots of green cards, and there are some extra cards that are green and blue. When you go to help out your players or you play any of your own actions, whichever one you play, that is the colors that most of the time characters are going to be helping supporting you with. So if I play this one, they could support me with a red or blue card to help me out. And you'll see how that all goes through in the playthrough. If you see any white cards in a deck, those are wild cards. They can be played on any color. And this boost, for example, give another seeker extra movement. I can use that on any color card another person plays. So you're going to mix this deck up and get it ready. Now you're going to be having 2 different aspects of the game involving these cards. There's like an adventure and exploring part of the game, and there's also a battle part of this game. So we're going to get this all shuffled up, and we're going to see what entails our brave seekers here as we move into the first mission. So let's put our deck right back down there, shuffled up and ready to go in the card deck area. Our next player is going to be Naz the Barbarian. Naz of the Wind Strikers. Wind Strikes. This is a commander at heart. Victory is her only option. Naz is a farm girl who longed to make a difference. When her orcish weather senses told her something menacing was coming, she left her home to train and learn how to best protect those she loves. Though quite young, she has grown into a master strategist, perfect for players who enjoy a challenge and the ability to affect the entire battlefield. And it shows a little bit about her here, and it also gives her a starting ability, which is also found on her card, which says whenever she moves during her turn, she may choose to move another seeker instead, which you'll see how it works during the battle. Of course, she has her lantern card, which, as you can see, is a 5 power attack, which is pretty good, and it also has a little ability to it. And like I said, we'll learn what that is as we go. It is always going to start in the charging form. And then we have her deck. Her deck is, of course, filled with a lot of might cards, some wisdom, and not too many agility cards. So here they all are, and as you can see, each one of them does have their own boost card, and we'll see how a lot of these play out as we play through the game. We're going to give them a good old truffle shuffle here, so they are all set for our first mission that we have, our first quest. We'll shuffle them up just like that, and then we'll take a look at her standee that she has. A nice little acrylic standee that shows her with her awesome sword straight up in the air like that, ready to fight. Oh, it looks really awesome. That's actually a very fantastic pose. I like how dynamic that is. Neato. Let's check out our next person. One thing I failed to mention is she does get 2 armor cards, and it says here whenever she refreshes her deck, she'll also get those armor cards, and that's just for everybody as well. And she has 15 hit points as well starting out, so she's one of the strongest ones when it comes to being able to take damage. And lastly, in our group, we have Roland Wordforger. Roland Wordforger says, Keen Mind wields power from his Kinfire blood. Roland is an inquisitive member of the Scholar Circle who specializes in fire magic. He always is willing to help into battle with an overpowering blow, even when it means putting himself in harm's way. Is perfect for players who like helping others and understand the term glass cannon. He does have the ability here where his boost cards do not have to match the color of the action of the attacking player that is being used. So that is unique to his particular character. He does get the lantern card here, which is a 3 attack. Now, this black circle here, or this outline in black, I should mention, does mean that that's going to affect the focus of the enemy that you're hitting, and you'll see how that works during the playthrough. We're going to put that in a charge position, and of course, he has his deck here, mainly built on, I believe, wisdom, a little bit of strength, and again, not very much agility. We'll shuffle this all up just like this, get it all set for our first mission. so we're ready to go when we have to start. I do love the fact these card sleeves have the pictures of the characters on them. I think that's actually really super cool. And here's our standee for round, holding a book up in the air and shooting out some magic. I think that's awesome. Cool, cool. Let us go to the first mission. But before we do, we have to get the Bag of Destiny all set up. That's right, we're going to put all these chips into this Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall bag. Now, from what I understand, this is kind of one of the most polarizing things when it comes to this game. The way this game is going to play out is we're going to put 12 chips that have to do with what enemies could do against us into the bag. We're also going to put 2 of these chips in as well that are going to activate for the enemy, and this is a random thing that they could do based on where you place these certain chips, and I'll show you how that goes when we set up the actual encounter for the first mission. The next one we have is these are all of our chips. When one of our chips is chosen, we can choose to play one of our cards. And whenever one of these chips are chosen, we're going to activate the power that's based on that particular chip location on the enemy map. Or I'll show you that again, like I said, and when we get it all set up. The last chips we have are these 3 heart chips. These heart chips are going to allow us to decide which one of our characters wants to go. So when you're playing a 2-player game, you're going to be putting 6 of each of the 2 characters in, plus the 3 hearts and these 2 chips as well. Since we're playing 3 players, we're going to put 4 of each of these. If we were actually playing a 4-player game, we'd only be putting 3 of each of the different characters into this bag. Once we have them in the bag, we'll give it a good old shake and everything, and we'll be all set to go. So we'll see how this all plays out. And as we play through it, you'll see how this particular system works, and you decide for yourself whether it's something you enjoy. The last thing we have to set up is any status ailment cards we get, our exhausted cards, and our armor cards. And these are all found on this side of the board, and you set them up for every battle, of course, unless told otherwise. But from how I understand, they're going to be used in all the battles. These are the different statuses that our enemies can take, and also statuses that we can take as well, depending on what the enemy does to us. So we have hurt, we have weak, trapped, stunned. These are our armor cards, and these are our exhausted cards. Now our trapped card, like I said, will be different for us than it is for him. This one says discard this card, and the enemy cannot move this turn. Where if we have it in our hand, it says while this card is in your hand, you cannot move on your turn. If you did not gain this card this turn, discard 1 at the end of your turn. So if you have multiples in your deck, you're going to have to wait until all of these are cycled out before you could possibly move. Stunned, of course, is going to discard this card. The enemy cannot attack this turn. And if we had it, while in the stun cards in your hand, at the start of your turn, discard one of your Seeker's chips from the bag to represent, or to the spent chip area if able. If you do not gain one of these cards during this turn, discard one of these cards at the end of your turn. So it's really interesting how these not only affect them, but they do affect you in different ways. And some of the things I do like is stunned is a very common thing in most games, and I like the fact that it doesn't technically just you lose a turn, which is always bad in games. You want to be able to always do turns, so it's nice that instead of doing turns, you just lose one of your chips from your bag, which makes it less likely that you'll actually activate, but it still gives you a chance of activating in the future. Our armor cards are very interesting. The way this works is when you suffer damage, you're going to suffer 1 less for each armor card you have in your hand. After you take the damage, you will discard 1 of the armor cards. So if I had 3, like it says for Naz, or 2 I should say for Naz, let's say she had these 2 and she takes 4 damage, she'd remove 1 and take 3 damage. And then if she takes damage again, she'd take 2 damage. Then she'd get hit again, she'd lose 3 damage and discard a card. So you're always kind of having armor in your hand. You don't just take all the armor cards, sacrifice all your damage, and throw it down. Nope, I think it's pretty cool that you actually keep the armor cards and they persist. All right, that's the end of our setup. Let's move into Chapter 1, or Quest 1, I should say.
Darkness fell. Every last star in the sky was blackened out. It was madness. The land itself was twisted and transformed overnight, with unknown thousands whisked away. To where? No one knew. The starless nights had returned.
In this chaos, there stood a single beacon, the elven city of Dinlux. Its Kinfire lighthouse bathed the area in a protective glow. Only those within reach of the lighthouse survived the first starless night, including the great army laying siege to Dinlux that very hour. Sigurd the Sickly, the warlord from Dwar Fell, who commanded this army, agreed to lay down their weapons and, in exchange, Hierophant Selin opened the gates of Dinlux as a place of refuge.
But peace was not so easy. The mercenary leader of the Orcs, Vath of the Tusk Rippers, sensed an opportunity and organized his soldiers to take control of Dinlux in a swift but not unbloody coup. Once an unsteady peace settled in, with Vath sitting at the head of the city council, a new organization was established, the Seekers Guild.
You and your companions are Seekers, a team of well-trained individuals working together on behalf of the people of Dinlux. Your magically crafted Kinfire lanterns allow you to navigate the darkness of the starless nights somewhat safely. Still fresh to the guild, you and your fellow Seekers are out on assignment, escorting a caravan of workers and priests to Venna, a nearby farming village. Hierophant Selin will arrive in a few days to complete a new lighthouse, built to protect the people and farms who have become essential to feeding the now overcrowded city.
Night is beginning to fall, the normal kind, thankfully, when a dark shadow passes overhead. A shriek breaks the silence, followed by the rustling of leathery wings. A creature, long and scaled, circles and lands before you. A wyvern. You reach for your weapons.
And at this point, we are going to open our atlas to map 1, and we're going to read card 1-1. And it's pretty cool because each of these come in a box just like this, so it has everything you're going to need in the box. What we found in the box for this one was actually the rule book for Rule 2. So it starts by getting you started with this rule book, and then you open this box and you'll get the rule book for number 2, which is going to be combat. And on top of that, it also gave us everything we're going to need for this particular mission that we may not have gotten in the box when we originally opened it, which is pretty cool. And so there's 21 different quests, and each one of them are going to have the components you need inside of these boxes. The cool thing is all of the quests, once you get going inside them, are all found on these cards. So we're going to start with the first card here. It says,
as you lift your weapons to do battle with the wyvern, a shivery feeling rushes through you, an almost alien feeling of deja vu and correctness, as if you've been waiting all your life for this moment.
So it says here on the card that you're going to gain 2 fate tokens. We're going to punch them out of the cardboard, quest 1, and place them next to the map on the spaces indicated for them. So on our board, we're going to be getting 2 fate tokens. That's these right here. It says before drawing a chip from the bag, a seeker may drop one of these into the void and draw 4 chips instead, which then I can choose one to resolve and put the rest in the bag. It's a way to be able to almost ensure the fact that we get to go at a certain time. Now, of course, it does mean we have to drop them into the void, and is that good? I don't know. This is the void. It's a box where you can drop those little tokens into. So what we're going to do is we'll drop them in if we ever decide to use them. Is it going to be good? I'm going to guess it's probably not, but sometimes you may need to do that in order to survive the battle. When we flip this card over, what we see is our battle setup. This is how we're going to set this particular battle up. We're going to be fighting this wyvern with 30 health. Then next to his card, he's going to have 3 different actions, and these are the tokens that when pulled are going to activate those particular things. This is where the monster will start, and we may start in one of those 4 starting locations. It says if a seeker is defeated, you lose the quest, go to 1-3. And as you can tell, it says a seeker. Once one falls, that's it. You're done. It's the end of the battle. It's not as long as at least one person lives. It says down here, though, if the wyvern is reduced to 0, I'm going to go to 1-4. Here's the Wyvern's player board right here. It has 30 health points. It has its picture there, and it has 3 separate things that it can do on its turn. Also, you're going to see that this white bar here, if these eventually, as you play through the game, certain enemies will attack with different colors. For example, this might be a red attack and a blue attack and a green attack, where we'll only again be able to boost our friends with defense cards based on those particular colors. These over here are just symbolizing when pulling a chip of this number, which one is going to activate. And as you can tell, it has that special one which is going to be sitting right here. So hopefully we don't pull any of these. Hopefully pull only our heroes' chips. The last thing we have is this down here, which is the priority target token. That is going to be focusing on the most health by our seekers. Since Naz has 15 health, she is going to get this token right there to show that she is the one that this character is going to attempt to attack. I've set our enemy right here. This is the acrylic standee for this Wyvern. It looks amazing. I'm a huge fan of these acrylic standees. I know a lot of people that watch my channel know that I do a lot of miniatures and painting miniatures and things of that nature, but these acrylic standees are super cool. We now get to place our characters out here. I think I'm going to put this one here, which is 1 space away from that Wyvern. I think it'll be super good. Then let's see, the other 2, we're going to place them out here. Where should I place them? I think I'll place 1 here and I'll place 1 up there. They don't have to be in the same spot as each other, and sometimes maybe that's a good thing because the monster will have abilities that can hit everybody in a square. Along with our characters, they may have things that hit everybody in the square, and it may not be good for us if we're all in the same square. So we're all set up. Let's continue on. As we read through the rules, it says that we're supposed to give beginner's luck to a person on our team. It says the attack flies straight and true, lodging right in the soft tissue of the Wyvern's nostril. You're pretty sure you couldn't replicate that if you tried. It's a ranged attack for 4 damage. Now, when we do this, you're going to be gaining your actions, you're going to be doing your attacks, and then we're going to be moving on. And let me show you what you can do on your turn. So when it is your turn, you can either play and resolve 1 action card or pass and draw and discard another action card when it's your turn. You can boost if you play an action card. Each other seeker may add 1 boost card of a matching color to your action. You cannot boost yourself, which makes perfect sense. You're also allowed a move each turn. Before or after acting, you may move 1 space on the map. And then you can refresh. After acting, if there are no action cards in your hand, discard your remaining cards and draw a new hand of 7 cards. Plus, at that point, you would refill the amount of defense you have, or armor, I should say, you have in your possession. Then charge your lantern by turning it face up. That, of course, is only going to happen if you refresh. That is the way you're going to get your lantern card, is by going through the 7 cards that you have. So it's very important to kind of play your actions and help boost your friends as much as you can so you can get these cards out of your hand so you can refresh your lantern so you can make this amazing attack for 6 damage. And after attacking, I may refocus each enemy focused on her to another seeker of my choice. That sounds super, super good, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? You can get rid of the priority token, especially when you only have 11 health like she does. Now, before we take our first turn with beginner's luck, every character is going to draw up to 7 cards. So just want to give them again one little truffle shuffle here, a real quick one, and we're going to draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to put those cards back here and we're going to look at the cards we have. Now, what we're doing is when you first get your hand, you're going to make sure you have at least 1 action if you're in your hand. If you do not have an action in your hand, you redraw the 7 cards, then you mix all these together. But we have Scorpion Strike and we have Blinding Flash. And we have a lot of things that are going to be able to assist some of our characters, which is all the ones that don't have actions. Those are going to be our boost cards that we have. And I do want to mention another thing is as you're creating your deck, as time goes on in the game, there are going to be cards that have this particular symbol up here, which is the face of your character. That is a card unique to your character that only you can put in your deck. You cannot put that into another character's deck. So she has her 7 cards. Asha should have gotten 1 armor card. I forgot to do that, so we're going to give that to her and put it with her cards. We're going to grab 7 for our friend Roland here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He has gotten hopefully at least 1 action card. He does. He has a couple action cards, so we'll put those right there. We'll look at these when it comes to his turn. I'll also give him 1 armor card as well. Lastly, we have Nas. Nas is going to grab 2 armor cards and 7 cards in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll see what we have. Hopefully we have at least one action. Yes, I see at least one action for us. See a lot of actions. We see this. This is something I haven't talked about yet because I'm not sure if any other people grabbed it. But this is what's called a ward. A ward is a persistent action that once played, it'll stay in play for the entire combat. And it'll give you some kind of boost or potentially boosting your friends. We'll place those down right there for Nas along with 2 armor cards, and we have to choose a person to go first. I am going to choose Wonderful Nas. Nas is going to be able to gain this card called Beginner's Luck that we read about earlier. It's going to be a 4 damage ranged attack that once played, it's going to do its damage, but this black like goo around it, or I guess like darkness area here, means that that person would then become the priority of that enemy, and they would gain the token, even if it didn't have it already. So it's one way to also bounce this token around instead of just always being the same focus. It says down here that it is disposable. This action doesn't have a boost card and doesn't count toward your deck size. After you play it during battle, remove it from your deck. So we're going to play it right now for 4 damage. I'm going to remove it from my deck. Do notice that it is a white action. So that means that I can support that action with any cards from my allies' colors. Now, one thing I want to remember is that a lot of the attacks that she does is going to be red and potentially blue. A lot of Rollins are going to be blue and potentially red. So when I'm trying to pull a card to help them from Asha's deck, most likely I'm going to try to find a green card. This one, of course, is a block, so that's going to help with defense. But here's one: boost another Seeker's attack by 2. So we're going to play this card and put it into our discard, but give this character 2 attack. So right now, Nas is attacking for 6 damage. Now I'm doing all this right now because the camera is here, but do know I'm not in range to be able to do this yet, and I'll show you that on the board in just a second. But for filming purposes, I'm making sure I'm doing kind of all of it right here since that is where we are. Now, lucky for us, Roland has an ability that my boost cards do not have to match the color of the card that's happening. So this one would give another player the ability to draw a card or discard a card. Let's see what else we can find in here. This one is going to block a damage, and continuing on here, we do have one that does 1 more point of damage. So we're going to use the boost from Fireball to give again 1 point of damage to our card, meaning it's doing 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage. When I was talking about the attack, I did say that I was not in range of this attack, and I'm going to show you why. When you play this particular game, your battlefield is out here. When you make your attacks, if you are going to do a melee attack, you have to be in the same space as the enemy. If you wish to make a range attack, you have to be 1 space away from the enemy. You cannot be any more spaces away from the enemy to make a range attack. You have to be 1 space away, and that is, you have to be 1 space away. You cannot be in the same space as an enemy when making a ranged attack. So I'm going to move Nas to here, giving myself the ability now to be 1 square away to do that 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. We'll do our 7 damage by bringing this down to a 7 and a 2. We have done a total of 27 points of damage. And I also will mention that the dials in this game are a little wonky as well, but that's okay. This one functions pretty good. But then maybe there's a way to squeeze these a little bit more to get them so they are tighter or looser for you. But do know the dials are a little hard to get perfect as well as you'd want them to be. Now, since Nas did make an attack, I do have to take out one of her chips. It did mention that in the book. The book does kind of recommend that you do play that first card, and then from there you move forward. Now, when I was saying I was using boost cards, here are the 4 potential boost cards that you can get in your deck to be able to help your friends. You can heal, which will boost another Seeker's action of the color. After the action, the Seeker regains X amount of health equal to whatever the card says. We saw the damage ones in action. You notice that there was one for drawing, and there is also ones for moving, where as a boost to another Seeker's action of this color, the Seeker may move in additional space before or after the action. So if I wasn't exactly far enough to make the attack, I could ask my friends, hey, does anybody have a boost card in green that can give me a movement? If somebody said yes, I go, great, and then I can play potentially that attack and get that boost from them to get into position. A couple boosts that are happening that are kind of outside of the turn here is when they're attacking, you're able to boost with block or a chit redraw. Some of the characters have the ability to, after a chit is drawn from a bag, but before it is resolved, I can return that to a bag. So if we draw a very detrimental one for the enemy, for example, we could play that card to return it. Over on the last part of the board, it does show the combat flow. And now that we've gone through that first particular action, we're going to kind of, I'll go through a little bit here and show you. Now, I've kind of mentioned a lot of this as we've been setting up the game, but you're going to draw your 7 cards and your defense, which we did. We're going to put the enemy focus on the target of our enemy, which we have also done there. It's on Nas. Then we're going to begin drawing our chits, and the chits we draw is either a seeker chit, you're going to activate that. The enemy, you're going to perform that particular one. Like I said, the hearts I can choose, and the darkness chit is going to be on their card somewhere. And number 4, check the time track, and when it's filled with hearts and darkness chits, we return all the chits to the bag, included in the spent area. And what I mean by the time track is as we draw those hearts and darkness chips, we're going to place them here. Once we have 4 of these slots filled up, that's when we'll return all of the chits that are spent along with the ones on the time track back into the bag. So at this point, it is time to see who is going to be the next person to go in this battle. We're going to draw it out, and we've got chip number 10. So we'll put this into the spent chits area, and we'll see what it does. We'll find the 10 right here. It says, flapping its leathery wings, the wyvern circles above before diving straight down. We're going to discard all the statuses from the wyvern, then the wyvern moves directly to the target's space. And that's really all it's going to do when it draws that particular one. Now, lucky for us, there are no statuses on here, but if we had, for example, say we had a trapped one up here on the one above it, then this would all get discarded, every one of them. Oh man, he can refresh himself. That's no good. All right, let's go move him. It did said that it flies up in the air and then it lands right down in the space where the enemy is, which is going to be right there. We're then going to draw our next chip and see what happens to us. Now, normally during the turn, when an enemy activates, it does get to do 1 movement and then whatever an activation is. Now we have a 1 this time. 1 is super bad. It says, with a sudden lunge, the wyvern darts forward, snapping its massive jaws at you. I'm going to take 8 melee attack damage, and after attacking, the wyvern will refocus. Looking over at Nas, Nas does have 2 armor, and let's see if we can help her out with any of our characters. The attack that we're playing against is going to be the white one, so I am able to use any color to help. And I can't just give armor cards, that's not how it works, instead I have to boost them. So I am going to give 1 armor from Asha, so now we're at a total of 3 armor for her. And if we look into Roland's deck, Roland has 1 armor as well, so he's going to play that, giving a total of 4 armor to Asha, meaning Asha's taken 8 minus 4 is going to be 4 points of damage. We'll spin our dial down to 11 at the bottom here, and after that is done, we're going to discard one of these armor cards, meaning she only has 1 armor left. We'll place these into the discard pile of our respective characters, and at this point, I'm going to refocus. With 11 damage left, that's the same as Asha, and I can choose which person I want to take the token when it comes to a tie. So we're going to keep it on Asha for now. Things aren't going super good for our super group here. We need to hopefully draw one of our chips out of here or things are going to start going downhill. We got a 9. That's another one of his. This one will state that it's going to do 4 damage and it's going to hit everybody in its circle, or in its square. That's what it means by the black thing here. It says the wyvern's massive tail snaps around like a whip, striking everyone within reach. Before we're going to take any damage from this chip, I'm going to play this card from Roland, which will allow me to put this chip back into the bag and draw again, because after seeing what that is, that's not anything I want to deal with. I want to actually get this guy. We'll put that one back in there, give it a good old truffle shake here, and hopefully draw out one of our tokens this time. We got number 6. Apparently the wyvern is toying with us. The 6 is the same as the 9. It's going to go ahead and attack for 4 anyway. I sadly do not have any other cards amongst my characters, and I don't think that she has anything that she can do. I don't know if she has like an ability that allows her to do anything. Block for another seeker. That's not going to help her because she cannot block for herself. I will use my armor card though. So instead of taking 4, I'm only going to take 3. 11, 10, 9, 8. I'm going to go down to 8 damage. There we go. Now, sadly, it didn't mention anything about refocusing at the end of that attack, so it is still focused on Naz. Hopefully we can draw a token where we can do something. We got a heart token, so we get to choose who attacks. So at this point, Asha is 2 spaces away from the target. But she is going to be the one I am going to give this token to. I am going to play Blinding Flash. What this says is it's stating you snap your fingers in your enemy's direction and a bright flash of light erupts from your hand. The enemy screeches and flinches away, closing their eyes in pain. It's a melee attack for 1 damage, and after attacking, place stunned on up to 3 of your target's active abilities. That's fantastic. Now, in order to do that, I have to be in that square. So I'm going to move 1 like this. And then I'm going to ask for some help from my friends. If I can get any of them to give me a movement card, I can get into that square before I make the attack. So I'm going to take this one right here. Give another seeker an extra movement. That is going to be from Ronald. So Ronald's going to get me into that square. I'm now doing 1 damage. We're going to check to see if Naz can maybe help me get some more damage on this person. And sadly, she does not have any cards that are going to help with damage. So I'm going to do 1 point of damage, meaning I'm going to bring it down to 26, which isn't a ton, but I also get to add these stunned abilities to up to 3 of them, and I'm going to give them 1 to each one. Discard this card. The enemy cannot attack this turn. I'm going to put them on each of the enemy's abilities. So the next time any of these are drawn, it's going to have to deal with the stunned card first before it can make any of the other attacks based on the chits. We're not done yet. I have another card called Scorpion Strike. Your hand blurs as you strike out, striving to be faster than your enemy can react to, faster than they can even see. It's going to do 2 melee damage. Now, normally you can only play 1 card a turn, but if you look at the bottom, it says gain 1 movement. If you play an action with a printed damage value of 2 or less, you may immediately play this action afterwards. It's an instant. So since this only did 1, I can do that. I'm going to do the 2 damage to go down to 24, and then I do get a movement point, so I'm going to actually move out of the square as well. Looking at Asha's hand, once we're done here, I have no action cards in my hand. Now, nobody could help me boost that because a lot of them have played all their boost cards that could help with damage. I don't think Naz has anything. Naz has a chip draw and a defense card. She doesn't have anything that can help. So I have to discard all those cards. I have to put any armor cards I've accumulated back. I have to discard my entire hand there and grab 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I get to draw back up to my starting armor value, which is 1. So not only do I get some new cards that are going to be able to help with attacking, I'm also going to get some new boost cards, and since I refreshed my hands, I get to turn over my lantern attack here. So we've got some really powerful attack coming from her. The only problem with that attack was that it did not take the focus off of Naz, which could end badly, but I did stun this guy completely. So hopefully that'll help. Oh, we got another heart. We can choose who we want to go. I would like to have Asha go, but there's not a lot of people being able to help with her attacks. So I'm going to have Naz go. Naz is going to play his ward here. It says, reaching for calm, Naz thinks back to her days on the farm, using the wind to guide rain clouds over their crops and summons up a gale. Once in play, when Naz moves, she can move an enemy with her space along with her, and that enemy then gains weak. And this is a free action. Perform another action after this one. So this is also an instant card, and when it goes to creating your deck as the game goes forward, again, you can only have a certain amount of instant cards in your deck. So we're going to take care of this, and we're also going to move when we attack. And I think the attack we're going to do is going to be Duel of Honor. Shifting your stance, you focus your entire attention upon a single enemy. It's going to do 1 damage and keep the focus on her, and it gets +3 if there's no other target in your space, and there isn't any targets. The only target's that wyvern. So we're going to move and then do that attack. And we're going to move that wyvern over here because I get to move and take him with me, and it's going to cause him to gain weak. Weak is going to mean that when this card is discarded, each of the enemy's attacks deal 1 less damage this turn. The status card really isn't going to come into effect because it's going to, when I draw the next chit, it's going to actually be, it's going to be stunned anyway, but that's okay. What I'm more excited about is the fact that I did 4 damage, bringing it down to 20 health, and of course there are also the opportunity for my characters to help boost this attack that is in green. And I'm going to use her. Asha is going to give him the ability, Naz, the ability to move 1 space. And of course, I'm moving over here in hopes that I can have him go next. Is it going to happen? I don't know. We'll find out. Then we'll shuffle up all of our tokens here and draw out the next chip. And we got Naz again, but that's okay. She can run back in and attack. This time she's going to play Inevitable. It says here, close your eyes. Your teacher, Riz, often instructed, let your sword move with the wind. It is swiftness. It is power. Before attacking, you may move your target into your space. So I'm going to move this target back into this space. And since it moved, the Tidal Force comes into play, giving myself another weak card that I'll place down on one of the abilities. It's not really going to do that, make that much of a difference. But I am going to do 3 damage and potentially get boosted by my friends. Since Inevitable is a blue and red card, I can boost it with either a blue or red card. So I'm going to boost it with a blue one that gives an extra movement to Naz. I'm going to move her over there, and I'm going to have Roland boost with this card. Again, it doesn't matter the color for him. It gives the other seeker the ability to draw or discard a card. Now at this point, I actually am going to discard Rush. It's a 2 damage attack that moves the creature, or that I can move into the creature pretty much no matter where it is on the board. But I want to discard that card because if I can get to the point where she doesn't have any action cards, I'll be able to trigger her Lantern card as well. Moving into the next round, we'll draw a chip from the bag and see who activates next. Number 8 is going to go. Now, number 8 is covered by weak and stunned, so we're going to get rid of the stunned effect and the weak effect. Put this chip over on the side. It does not get to activate because it was stunned. Let's go to the next chip draw and see what we have found. We're going to attack with, was it Asha? Asha's going to go next. The first thing Asha is going to do is use the Odd Raven Charm. It says, for strength, Asha looks into glinting eyes of her charm. It reminded of the grateful beggar who gave it to her not so long ago. When played, I gain a defense card. So I'm up to 2 defense cards for Asha. And then it says, return this card to your hand after you draw a new hand. It's a free action. Perform this action after this one. So this is just her ward action. I'll put it right down here. And when I do, I get to return this card to my hand after when I draw a new set of cards. And that's good because that means I'll be able to play it the next turn, being able to gain that extra defense. So I'd have the 2 defense cards. Now I have to decide what action I want to do. We're going to do sneak attack. It says here, you jam your blade into the enemy's back. Forget about someone, you murmur into your foe's ear. And you do forget about someone. That's awesome. You do 3 damage if the target is not focused on you, and the target is not focused on me at this present time. It is focused on Naz. Since it's a melee attack, I do have to move into his space. It's going to take 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, down to 16. And at this point, I am going to give the token that it wants to kill me with right here to Asha. Asha now has that token. We'll draw our next chip and see what happens. We have drawn ourselves. It's Asha's turn yet again. That's absolutely awesome. She's going to play her Lantern card. It says, eclipse the sight, whispers Asha like a candle being blown out. She vanishes. Moments later, in a thin wound seems to open up itself on her enemy's leg. A small wound, sorry. It says, after attacking, you may refocus each enemy focused on Asha to another seeker of your choice. And it does 6 damage. Now, once this is played, I will flip this back over and it has to recharge. But that did 6 damage, bringing it down to 10. That was an awesome attack. Now, I do get to change the focus of this attack, and I'm going to put it on Roland. Roland's got some defense. He's got 10 health. Yeah, you know, he's doing okay. We'll draw our next card. It's the thief. The agility of the thief doesn't want that on her. Even though I know it's probably best to have it on her, it's kind of fun. Oh, look, I got a heart. That's awesome. We're going to see what we can do about that. What we're going to do is we are going to play Well-Timed Blow. Waiting and watching for the perfect moment, you suddenly spring forward, striking with all your might. It's only going to do 1 damage, and I do have to move into the square to do it. It's going to do only 1 damage. It's going to keep the priority on him, but it gets plus 2 damage for each status on your target, which is going to be in a very, very good thing. So that particular attack did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 2, 3, 6, 7. So this monster is only down to 3 damage. I think we might be able to get this. We're so close. All right, let's see if we can take out this Riven. I'm just going to draw from right here and see what we get. We have got ourselves a 5. The 5 is going to be one that is going to be discarded. We're going to get rid of the stunned and weak, and then we'll go back into the bag and draw our next chip. And we got Roland again. So, good news, bad news. The only attack he has left is Fireball, and that's okay. We'll hit him. It's going to kill him, so it'll be fine. With a gesture, a ball of flame shoots from your hand, streaking towards your target before exploding in a fiery blast. It's going to do 3 damage, keeping the priority on him, and give hurt. Now, sadly, it says on here, friendly fire. This attack affects any seekers in the target space as well. So, we're going to move him out over here, but it's going to fire into there and do 3 damage, which will kill the beast. The beast is down, but of course, Asha's going to have to take 3 damage as well, but I'm only going to go down to 1 damage, meaning I'm at 10 damage because she does have 2 armor. She's only going to take 1 damage, and I'm going to discard one of my armor cards. I do get to give hurt to the monster too, though it doesn't matter. I'll place this hurt card on something else, put on the 8 attack or something, and that'll be it. No, I'm lied. I'm going to put it down. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, doesn't matter. We have killed him. That's fantastic. Since we were victorious, we get to flip over 1-4, and let's see what it says.
The wyvern folds its wings over itself, finally defeated. You turn to the people, expecting relief and gratitude. Instead, you're met with wide eyes and screams. You turn back in time to see the creature throw open its wings. The battle is not nearly over.
Of course, it's not why would it be over. I was doing so good. It says the wyvern enters its 2nd stage. I'm going to place overlay cards 1A, B, C onto its sheet. When the enemy enters its new stage, remove all statuses from its sheet. Oh, that's terrible. And reset its health to full. Oh my gosh. Any leftover damage from the previous stage is ignored, and any ability tokens now on passive abilities are divided among the enemy's active abilities. That's absolutely terrible. If the Seeker is defeated, you'll go to 1-3. Otherwise, I will go to 1-5. Oh, this is nuts. All right, this is bonkers. I'm going to get rid of these. It's no longer has the stunned and hurt effect. I have to set it back to 30 health. All right, we'll get this back to 30 here. 30 health. There we go. And we'll start with our overlays. Our overlay 1 is this new picture of the creature. It goes right there. You can always tell where they go because it does have a number down here. This has the number 1. You can barely see it. So it's going to cover up the 1 on this here. Next, we have overlay 1B. 1B has, it only has 15 health. All right, that's fantastic. We'll put it down to 15. That's way more doable. Okay, we're also going to adjust some of our characters here in just a second as well. We have 15 health there, and it's going to be focus on the most health still. So we'll put that down there on that one. And then we have one more. We're going to flip this over. This one says, with the wyvern's wings shredded, it is unable to fly. However, its intense rage allows it to shrug off wounds more easily. All attacks deal 1 less to the wyvern, and that covers up space number 5. All right, that's where that goes. Now, I believe these we're going to stay here, or else I might have to move those. Yes, I have to divide these equally up because they're on a passive ability now that isn't going to activate at all. So we're going to move these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to here, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12 will go on this one as well. So these are all divided up equally among them, and I'll leave the darkness one on that one like that. That's fantastic. Now, if we win, we get to read this. Otherwise, we go to 1-3, and now this thing takes 1 less damage, and all of these are going to activate damage abilities. I did say there is a few things I have to do back here. One of them is I have to give him 7 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and he's going to get his armor card. I get to flip over my lantern ability. It is now ready to go. And the other thing I need to do that I was not doing, that I probably put a subtitle for, was I have to place these here. And if I get the next darkness one, I'll have to place that there, and we'll be putting those and all the ones that are found down here in our spent chips back into the bag. All right, that fireball was not looking like the best plan I've ever had in my life. Let's draw our next chip and see who goes. Number 4 is going next, which is going to do 8 damage to Roland. Roland does have 1 armor card he's going to use, meaning that his damage is going to be going down to 7. Then I have a couple cards I can play, 7, 6, 5, 4. So he's going to take a total of 4 damage from this vile creature here, but we were able to boost it down, so he only took half, so he's going to be at 6 health right now. Talk about a glass cannon, but he did have some armor to soak it up. I do have to refocus now at this point. That's going to put the focus onto Asha. She has 10 health, he has 6, and Naz has 8. And in order to attack, he had to move into this space. I forgot to move our creature. He's going to go right there. We're going to draw our next chip and see what we get. We've got ourselves, Naz is going to go. That's awesome. Naz only has 1 attack left. It's probe. You strike your enemy probing for weaknesses. It does 1 damage and stun, but the L attacks now deal 1 less, so it actually deals 0. After attacking, draw up to 4 chips from the bag. You may discard 1 numbered enemy chit from among them, if any, to the spent chit area, returning the others to the bag. So I am going to do 0 damage, but I do get to stun something. Looking at the spent chits, I'm going to put a stun on there because there is way more of those in there. And now it states that I can grab 4 chits from the bag and discard 1 of them. So let's grab 4. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to discard this 2 because there's only 1 left in that row, and there's a lot in that row. So we're going to put those all back now. We'll draw our next chip from the bag and see who it's going to be. It is going to be number 9. He is stunned, so that isn't going to take effect. We're going to discard that card. We'll draw our next chip and see who it's going to be. I hope it's one of my guys. We'll draw it. It is Naz again. Before we go with Naz, I did realize she has no cards, so she gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. She also gets to draw her 2 armor cards back, so she now has 2 of those. She has some fantastic cards here, and of course her lantern ability is ready. And that states, after the alter the balance, shouts Naz, smashing it forward. Her lantern releases a blast, enveloping her enemy, who shrieks and clutches her head, or their head. After attacking, shatter 1 of your target's spent enemy chips, numbered 1 to 12, removing it from play for the rest of the battle. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. We're probably going to do that for 5 damage, but I'll check the cards and see if there's anything else. We are totally going to do that card, and I'm going to be able to boost it with 2 damage from our friend Roland. So we have done a total of 7, and I'm going to move before I make that attack, and I'm going to move up to, and I get to pull my enemy with me because my tidal force is still in effect. While you play this, when Naz moves, she can move an enemy with her along, and she's going to be able to give it weak. So we're going to put a weak down on that 4 damage whirling attack of death. Now, of course, doing 5, 6, 7 damage, I only get to do 5, 6, 7, I only get to do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is down to 9 health. So we're getting super, super close. We'll then reach back to our bag and see who goes next. We got ourselves, oh, that darkness chip. The darkness chip falls right here, which means that it's going to do 1 less damage. So instead of 4, it's only going to do 3. And I do have 1 armor, so I'm only going to take 2. And I'm sure my friends might be able to help me out so I take no more. Let's see what we can do. Here's 1 I can get from Naz. So we're down to, instead of taking 3 damage, I am only taking 1. And our friend Roland also has 1 as well. So I'm taking no damage this turn. That attack is a melee attack, so it's going to move into my square in order to do it. And I'll be placing the darkness chip into the time track. And once the track is full, return these chits along and those in the spent chits back to our bag. So there are a lot of chips out here. We, of course, have the 4 on the time track, and we have all of these. Now, Roland only got to go once. That's sad. And Naz got to go 4 times. That was pretty good. And Asha got to go a couple as well. And the monster got a good amount. Let's see here. 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not too bad. I think maybe 9. I think he got to go a little bit more than we did. Oh, no, we got the 3 other ones. So it was actually pretty about even. Now, of course, it was even amongst the who got to go, them or us, but it wasn't exactly the most even when it came to the actual characters themselves. So we're going to put all these back in the bag, shuffle them all up, and now I'm really worried about that 8 attack over there because those are all back in the bag. Oh, there's a 10. That's the whirling 4-point damage one. We'll place it right there. Naz has only 1 defense card left, and Asha has none. I think I forgot to redo this card, but I can't remember. So I am going to take 3 damage. 1, 2, 3, and I don't get to reposition yet. Or sorry, refocus yet. Let's draw our next token. Now, this could be a time we might want to use one of our fate tokens, because if we don't, we got one of us, that's fantastic. But if we don't, there's a chance that that thing could probably kill me. I'm going to play this. It's right in the soft bits. You spot an opening and strike your enemy's most vulnerable place, paralyzing them with an agony and weakness. It's 2 damage, which means only be 1. But after attacking, I get to place weakness, 2 of them, on top of up to 3 of your target's active abilities. That's fantastic. So like I said, I'm only going to do 1, which is going to bring it down to 8. Now, of course, at this point, I'm going to see if I can get some help from my friends. I did get 1 damage from both of my friends, so that means we are going to have done a total of 3. So instead of just doing 1, I'm doing 3, but then I forgot that I'm only able to do 1 extra damage, so we're only going to go to 7, because 3 minus 1 is 2. I get to place 2 weakness cards and up to 3 of these. So I'm going to place 2 here, and I'll place 2 there. Now I can't place any there, so that's okay. Let's draw our chip and see what's next. We're going to have Naz go next. Naz is going to move in and do knockout. You take a deep breath and rush at your enemy, slamming into them with the force that leaves them reeling. I can do 3 damage and stun, which is fantastic. I'm going to put the stun on that 8 damage attack. That thing's out of control. And we're going to discard this. Now I might be able to get some help from my friends. I think my friends are running out of cards. They are. So I'm only going to be able to do 3, which is going to be 2, which means it is at 5 health. Oh, we're getting close. We'll draw our next chip and see what we get. We got ourselves, oh, Roland gets to go. That's going to be absolutely perfect because I think he's the one I needed to have go. I think we got this. Woo-hoo! What a battle. Man, we got really close. Some of our guys are so close to death. We have this one right here, Test of Metal. Roland murmurs a quick prayer to the spirits who came before him. If we be worthy, let us show our strength. Every flame in the area suddenly surges upward. All enemies suffer 1 damage per status on them. This is a free action, and now I can perform another action after that. This poor dragon has, or wyvern has 5 damage, and I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statuses on them. It's still going to deal 1 less, so it's at 1 health right now. That is where it's at. And of course, I'm allowed to play 1 more action after that. I'm just going to hit it with a firebolt spell from where I am, which is going to give it a total of 2 damage, meaning that is enough for the 1 damage that he has left. We have vanquished the bad guy. Now, of course, I forgot about his lantern card here called Purity. It states, pointing with your hammer, Roland cries out, cleanse the impure. Are as flames from his lamp fill the air around him. After attacking, distribute 3 statuses of your choice among your targets as you see fit. So this is a perfect setup card for my other one that is a free action, that Test of Metal. That guy really is a glass cannon. He can dish it out, but as you can tell, he really only can take 1 hit, especially from something like this, and the next one probably would have killed him. We were victorious, so we will see card number 1-5. It states,
At last, the wyvern is slain. Some of the merchants from the caravan casually ask to purchase the wyvern's carcass. Apparently, they have a variety of uses. You look at each other and then agree, provided you can keep some of the wing leather. You take the money they give you, but don't offer to help as they load the stinking carcass onto the wagon. You continue on the road to Vinna, wary and unsure what else may lie between you and your destination.
This quest is over. The next time you play, proceed to quest 2. But we're going to do that in the next video. This is Kinfire. It's a blast. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. There are multiple pillars of this game. There is combat, which we saw in Quest 2. There's also adventuring, and then there's also town exploration that'll be found in some of the future quests. If you're watching this video over on the One Stop Co-op Shop and are interested in seeing more Kinfire, please go check out the rest of the playthrough. That'll be found on my channel, Meet Me at the Table. The link to that will be in the description of this video. We'll be going through and continuing a short playthrough session, maybe Quest 2 and most likely Quest 3. We might even delve into a Quest 4. We'll see, because I'm having a blast playing this. This was one that came right on the heels of before I left for Gen Con, and when I came back, I knew this is the game that I wanted to show. This game is super fun. I love the stories. I love the fact that Forteller is narrating it. And on top of that, the characters are all really uniquely diverse. And I love the different ways that all these different monsters can attack. We fought a wyvern and jumped back up and started going at us again. That was super cool. Now, I know the bag building or the bag token generation and the initiative system of this game is a little polarizing for most people, but for me, I find it really entertaining to see what can happen. Of course, it can be mitigated with these fate tokens. You can choose to use one of those to draw 4 tokens out of there to hopefully ensure that you get to go. Or at least if you drew a bunch of enemy ones, you can choose the easiest one for you to have to handle. If you did enjoy the playthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more playthroughs come out. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. On top of that, if you're interested in supporting the channel, the link to the Patreon is located in the description of this video as well. Those that have already supported me are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It does mean the world to me. Those that are part of the Patreon do get special perks. One is they do get to watch the playthrough videos usually a day or two before I drop them, normally and they get to watch them without commercial interruptions. On top of that, they do get a chance to help decide how our characters are going to move forward and who plays in our games. As these characters go forward, they're going to be gaining new items and equipment and abilities, and they're going to be going into our decks, and I'm going to have them help decide how we're going to build out our characters as we move forward in this game. If you're interested in seeing some great live content, please feel free to check out my live tab on Meet Me at the Table. We do some live plays with Colin every Monday on the One Stop Co-op Shop. On top of that, the One Stop Co-op Shop does have a partnered channel called the One Stop Co-op Shop Stream channel, where Steve and Kim and also Peter and Terrence do some live plays over there. So please check out that channel as well. Also, if you're interested in seeing painting videos, over on Meet Me at the Table, I do live painting videos, usually about once a week, where we can get some miniatures painted up so we're going to use in future games. Again, thank you so much for watching Kinfire Night Falls. And if you're excited to see more Kinfire or what comes next, then I need you to meet me at the table.